Hello and welcome back to the quick plug. And in today's video, we will be talking on the different type of comparison functions. It is a bit different than comparator operators or comparison operators. So let's start our workbench at the first and let's see what functions are there in the comparison functions. Okay, we are going to mainly discuss about the four functions that is shown in the screen already. The first function, the second function, the third function, and lastly the fourth function. Okay, before that we are going to see the records of the table project. Okay, let's recall it because it's been a long time we haven't seen these records. So there are field ID, name, budget, date initialized, deadline, and similarly we are going to use the same project table in our first function. So the function is used to basically give a default value or give a default message in the place of the null values. Suppose we have some records here who have which value is null basically, and we want to give some default values. In that case, we are going to use this function and we are going to allocate or we are going to define the field name where the null value will be replaced with the default value, which is no deadline set for this query. Okay, if we execute this query, we will get no deadline set instead of null values. So I hope you have got some knowledge on the first function, and we are going to use the greatest as the second function. So it's let's see the project once again. Here we have project. We have table employee. These are the table of the employee, and similarly we have a table allocation. Okay, now we are going to select name of the table project as project name. So if we see here, the names are these are the project names, and we are going to select it as the project name. And similarly, we have a table employee where there is also a name field, and we are going to select name of the table employee. This E represents or E symbolizes the table employee, and it is going to be selected as employee name. And we are going to use the greatest function. So let's understand the concept of greatest function at first. Okay, this is used to take multiple arguments, and that is it gives a threshold. That means it limits the value. This greatest and least are the function that is used to give a threshold, or that is used to set a threshold that limits the value. So basically it means if the value is less than 5000, it will automatically convert the 5000 value into it will automatically convert the less than 5000 value into 5000. So in this case we are going to select the budget from the table project as the greatest budget, and then after we are going to select it from project P. We already know that. And now we are using the employee name, but in the table project we do not have the employee name. Instead we have name, budget, date initialized, deadline, and ID. This is the ID of project, not the employee ID. So there is no any relation of the table project with the table employee. So we want a mediator table that act as a mediator to build a relationship between project and table employee. So here the table allocation is the mediator table. So if we see in the table allocation, we have a project ID also, we have a employee ID also, and we have enroll date and exit date. This is not needed. We only are going to focus on project ID and employee ID. So from project ID, we can take project name. Similarly, from employee ID, we can take employee name. So we are going to use the table allocation as the mediator. So we are going to join table allocation on. That means it is going to be have relation on the IDs. That means the ID of the table project and the project ID from the table allocation. These are going to have relations. And similarly, we have connected this project ID with the table project. Now we are going to connect this employee ID with the table employee. So for that, we are going to join employee E on a dot employee ID. That means the employee ID from the allocation table, and then after the ID from the employee table. That is this ID. So from these two queries, we have set a relationship between the table project and employee, so that we can fetch out or we can extract the names from the table P and the table employee. And this will also have the relation among those names. So we are going to create the relation on that basis. And after that, we are going to set the threshold value. That is the value that cannot suppose that there is a budget of around 1000, so automatically it changes the budget of 1000 to the 5000. So let's see the table project at first and you will get a bit clearer. Okay, we have a field budget and we have some values. Similarly, okay, here is a value that is 3000, which is less than 5000. So as per our this query, this 3000 should be converted to 5000. So if we see there is no any value of 5000, so it will be easy to uh, see. Okay, if there is any value 5000, okay, we have two 5000s. And okay, the datas are being repeated because we have some repeating data due to these joins. But we can see that the digital PG, which was of 3000 budget, it has been changed to 5000 budget. So it has set a threshold, the minimum threshold for the budget. Similarly, the list value is also uh, same. And in this case, we are going to set the threshold for the list. That means the value cannot exist or the value cannot go above the 6000 budget. So if we execute this value, all the value that exceed the threshold, that is converted into 6000, and the values which was below 6000 is set to the default value, which is 3000. So I hope you have got knowledge on the list and the greatest as well. Now let's start with the last function, that is null. Okay, this function checks if the value is null, and it returns 1 if the value is null, and it returns 0 if it's not null. Okay, we have already seen the table project. Okay, let's see again the table project because it had some null values. So, okay, we have ID number 2 null, ID number 3 null, ID number 4 null. Okay, for reference, we are going to see those three records. If we see those three records, the null values have got 1, and the values which has some deadlines, that is 0. So as per our function, it is checking if the value is null or not. That means if it returns 1, the value is null, and if it returns 0, there is some values. So I hope you have got some knowledge on those four functions, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.